From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy. The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Better late than never, everybody. What's up? Live show. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy right there. Corey Clark. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. We just got back from practice interviews, everybody. Some of us had really easy drives home. Other of us, I don't even know how you did this, Corey. What did you do down Mahan? Do you want to talk about it?
I just broke some laws, but I'm here. I made it, and I'm pretty sure that kid's going to be okay.
Okay. Appreciate that. Good to know. Hit the thumbs up. Thanks for being here, everybody. Don't forget, the spring sale still going on. Gets you premium access to warchant.com, premium recruiting board, travel council, all the opponents' message boards. You can read them. You can lurk, can't interact with those people. It would be a vicious cycle for you anyways. But for only $1 a week for a whole year, and if you act now and promise to tell a friend, we'll throw a $20 gift card to Garnet and Gold. Get you a new hat, get you a new hoodie, pullover, T-shirt. I mean, whatever you want that's Florida State branded. Garnet and Gold's got your back, locally owned and operated for, I think, like 30 years. Garnet and Gold killing it. Almost as much as Corey Clark's killing it. Corey, we don't get to watch practice. There should be a tip jar. Anytime I mention that, I have to put like money in the tip jar.
Yeah.
So we have to really get granular on what we hear going on at practice. Are you fine tuning your ear a little bit more now that you're not watching practice and you're going right into the interview with Norvell right after that?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's a good question, though. It's a good thought. But no, it's still day-to-day, interview to interview with Norvell on what you think you learned and didn't learn. Again, he mentioned Boggs unsolicited. Earl Little mentioned Boggs unsolicited. I think that's telling. When I don't remember who asked them afterwards, like if they thought there was a chance he could play early, maybe Kurt. He basically left the door open, but he wasn't like absolutely, definitely, because I think he wants to slow down a little bit. But yeah, the fact that he had a touchdown today, Norvell did give us that. He had a touchdown in red zone. That's good, man. He's like, he keeps making plays, and he keeps showing up. And as a kid that should still be in high school, that's impressive. And he might be something pretty darn good by the time he's done here.
Did Norvell bot short circuit by mentioning the tight ends again, or do you think he's that excited about the tight ends?
Yeah, it was weird. I think he mentioned the tight ends either right after or right before he mentioned Amari Williams, which is why I asked him that question about Amari Williams. So he said Amari Williams, who was a tight end last year, freshman tight end, who switched to defensive end. I don't know if it's full-time, but it's certainly most time right now. And he had an interception today. Norvell said it was a really athletic play, which is that tracks. Amari Williams is a really athletic guy. So, I think it was like he mentioned the tight ends first. Like I'm really, and then as if to say, like, you guys, I know you liked some of the things you saw from Amari Williams at tight end last year, especially the diving catch against Clemson for the touchdown. But wait till you hear what he looks like on defense. And we're already set it with tight end, is I think the way he sees it. And they are absolutely not in any way, shape, or form set on the defensive line. Like they've got, with Pittman and Landon Thomas, just those two, I think you've got a pretty nice tight end combo. Now, we don't know what Marqueson is going to be, and we don't know if Lofton can contribute as a true freshman, though they really like him. But just with those two, you like where you're at. Defensive end, that's a lot of question marks. So I think he wanted to point out that it might end up being a really good move for the team and for Amari Williams that he's gone to defensive end.
I'm all about it. I'm all for it. Listen, I think Jared Verse probably could have messed around and caught 30 passes in 2022 if he wanted to, if they played tight end. I think he probably had that level of elite athleticism. I
don't know about the ball skills. I'll be honest with you. He didn't strike me as a guy that goes out and makes plays. Maybe not like coordinated in that way. And maybe I just say that because I saw him try to throw a baseball, and I saw him try to hit a golf shot out at the tournament one year. That he's not maybe as coordinated as he is, just incredibly, incredibly strong and athletic. So maybe the catching part of tight end wouldn't have been that easy for him.
I just think about, if you surveyed 100 college football fans and asked them who's the starting tight end for Ohio State, they'd be like, I don't know, GJ Wade or something like that, GJ or something like that.
You just making up a name? That sounded like a.
No, it's I want to say like Jeep almost, but I don't think it's Jeep.
No.
Well, I'd say like, I think most people would have been like, well, Jack Sawyer, like someone named Jack Sawyer, the JT Tuimalo guy that Ohio State had coming off the edge. I just feel like Florida State fans are like hungry for this incredibly talented tight end. I get it. We had Nick O'Leary. That was really cool. Jaheim was a nice weapon, but man, give me a pass rusher. Give me a pass rusher. Give me a pass rusher. Give me pass rusher. So
and you saw his athleticism. Like, I feel like that'll play. You could figure out a way. Terrence Knighton's job now is to figure out a way to make that guy use his athleticism, which could be elite. It's certainly better than average at that position, and make him somebody that contributes.
G. Scott. I don't know why I said Jeep. G. Scott was the starting tight end for Ohio State. Had a couple good catches in the playoff too. But
okay, all right, good for him.
Let's go to what we got here. Somebody had a good question. Let's go to T. Giddings, though. T. Giddings dropping doll hairs in the jar. Who loves you, everybody?
Dollar bills, y'all.
Thomas Giddings, everybody in the house. $20 in the jar. Says Aslan, there's no other co-host Corey could be stuck with.
Well, he doesn't say it like that. Read it. Hey, Thomas Giddings just gave us $20. Read it verbatim.
Wake up. Aslan, there's no other co-host Corey could ever do the show with. You both are the best.
Thank you, Thomas Giddings. Appreciate that, buddy.
But
that's obviously not true. I mean,
clearly.
Come on.
Clearly. All right. Well, hey, let's go off the board a little. Actually, let's go to this question first. We got a late arriving crowd. We're late arriving. Let's get some football traction before we start talking about some other things in the Florida State sphere. Jason Goodnight. I wonder if that's his real last name. I knew somebody who had the last name Good Game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
That's a cool last name. There are good nights, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's good nights. There's True Loves. There's Go Lightly.
Yeah.
From a Florida State great. Yeah. So there's some cool names out there.
What was Nick Cage's character in The Rock? What was his last name? Was it Goodspeed? Goodspeed. Or something like that? Like
Montana, is it Tony Montana?
No.
I know, it was a joke. I have no idea. I saw that movie once in the theater.
Dude, The Rock is great.
All right. Okay.
Anyways. Good evening, gentlemen. If FSU goes 10-2 this upcoming year,
was it Dufresne? That's another movie about a prison. My bad. Go ahead.
All right. If FSU goes 10-2 this upcoming year, what would have gone right? Conversely, if I can edit this, not that it's like poorly written or anything. Conversely, if they don't do well, what would have gone wrong?
Yeah, you did it again. Yeah,
well, I don't think they're not going to go 2-10. I'm not.
Come on. Jason, good night. It's a fair question. If they go 2-10, that is you might have to shut the university down, like for a year, like a gap year, like reset. Let all the students go somewhere else and then reset, almost like a self-imposed death penalty.
They just whiffed. They would have absolutely had to whiff on everybody. That had to have been reaches for players that weren't ready to produce this year. And everybody was just under the guise of like, we're under so much stress. We have to fill this roster out. Good enough. We can figure it out. Yes. And then they end up striking out to everybody. That's the only way it could end up 2-10.
Well, it can't. Literally, they would. That's 0-10. They would not win a Division I game essentially, because again, they start with 2 dubs. So to have another bad season. Yeah, you're right. 2-10 seems almost impossible. I mean, I guess we shouldn't say that.
Stanford doesn't even have a head coach right now.
Yeah, but it would be obviously be a fireable offense. It would mean not only did they not recruit out of the portal well again, but these coaches all fell on their face. Like you can't. You're spending more money on your coaching staff and your roster than every team you play against, except Alabama and maybe Florida. I don't know what Florida pays their coaching staff. I don't think Billy Napier is making $10 million a year, and I don't think their OC is making what Gus Malzahn's making. I could be wrong, but it's close. And I would think your roster is comparable salary-wise. So it would be, either incredibly horrible injury luck where you lose like 14 starters, or your football coach has no idea what he's doing, and now it's absolutely been bared out for everyone to see, and you can go ahead and make a change. Like, you would almost actively have to recruit bad players at Florida State. Like, actively have to do it to put up a 2-10 with this schedule.
Yeah, and with this staff, man. Like, I
Yes.
think really like Tony White. Gus is going to do Gus things. Why is this thing blocking my thing right now? Yeah, apparently Kent State's coach now is under fire. Has just been placed on administrative leave. Not that that game was hanging in the balance by any stretch, as we talked about it in March, but like, I mean, Kent State's coach is under fire. Stanford doesn't even have a coach.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't think about 2-10. All right, if it goes right, if it's 10-2, what would have gone right, Corey? It's a revitalized Gus Malzahn, just back to being the mad scientist, calling offensive plays. Tony White picking off the right guys defensively to fit quickly and immerse themselves and integrate into the 3-3-5.
Yeah, that for sure. But again, I go back to number one, the offensive line being at least average, but Castellanos being an all ACC caliber-ish quarterback. Doesn't have to be first team. Doesn't even have to be second team, but be in the conversation of being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think that just changes everything, because if he's having a good year, that means your running game is on point. You're probably running for over at least 200 yards a game. He's also making plays downfield. That guy, I talked to Deuce Robinson about him today. He was effusive in his praise. I think they're good friends anyway. But I think he was effusive in his praise for like what kind of just athlete and athleticism he displays in practice, and extending plays, escaping pressure, making plays downfield. If he can be a guy, you got a chance. You've got a chance to have a really good year. A really good year. Like, look, man, if Florida State had an average quarterback in 2023, what's their record? Or 2022? Are they the 2022? They're probably 500. They probably lose to Florida. They probably lose to Oklahoma. Maybe there's another game. LSU, maybe they lose. And then in 2023, you'll probably lose to Clemson. You might lose to Duke. You know what I mean? Like, they were even Pitt. Like, he had a great game against Pitt. He had no receivers there. So the elevated quarterback play elevates everything. So I think 10-2 means that your quarterback had a really surprisingly good year.
And I think you've got really good leaders.
Yeah. That's a good point too. Yeah.
Because you're going to have to, going back and thinking about 2022, like, they start off 4-0, they proceed to lose 3 straight games, and they lost. The NC State game was an absolute heartbreaker.
Yeah.
The Wake Forest game was just kind of ugly.
Yeah.
The Clemson game, they got, the middle 8, last 4 minutes of the second quarter, first 4 minutes of the third. I mean, third quarter, they got onside kick to start off the quarter, and then some sort of throwback.
I think Shipley had a big kick return.
Yeah, so
in that stretch too.
Then they had a bye week, and they decided to get everything right, and then they steamrolled everybody. And if there was a 12-team playoff, they might have made it in, and they might have been a really, really tough out, because they worked them. They self-soothe. They troubleshooted themselves as leaders. So, I mean, if they lose to Alabama, which is completely on the table here, and there's going to be some real dudes that are going to have to step up to get everybody remain focused. I know they got 2 easy games after that, but to not let off the gas, because at that point they're going to have to really turn it up. So those are the 2 things. Tommy, and then guys like Pettibone that are going to really put the foot down and keep everybody balanced there. Hey, look at this. He's here, everybody. Dave from Bardstown. Fear not, everybody. Fear not.
Dollar bills, y'all.
He says he apologizes for his absence from Renegade Express. He's just too emotionally fragile to endure. I didn't mean that. I mean, we read your question. I think I've been reading your question in full verbatim form most recently. Here,
I think
Dave.
it's just, maybe it's the way you read it. He feels rejected.
Okay.
But hey, Dave, we appreciate it, buddy. That question was it was reminiscent of a Dave from Bardstown question, the one about Oasis.
There we go. By the way, Jason Goodnight confirms that his real last name is Goodnight.
Odd that it's spelled that way, though. Well, you all right? It's spelled that it's Goodnight, Nite, like almost the shorthand version of night.
Yeah.
Is this a Goodnight, Night? When you say good night to someone, or do you say good night with that?
No, it's GHT. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. So that's even, that's interesting. But it's a cool last name, man. You're lucky, for real.
I need somebody that's on TikTok to confirm to me whether or not the offensive skill players were twerking on TikTok. We have somebody accusing them of that.
Okay.
He's a good guy too. I think this guy, I don't think he's here to spread disinformation, but we got to double check it. Da Vinci says more praise for Boggs. Excited for him. Shoot to sold. What's that all about? Oh, I think it's the name of their business.
Yeah.
I saw Boggs play against Venice High School. He is impressive.
Is that the one where he had like 300 yards in a playoff game? He lit up somebody for like 300 yards. I mean, I guess he lit up a lot of teams to have 2,000 yards in a season or whatever it was. Yeah, I keep wanting to point this out. Again, it's not us telling you, hey, he's the next Rashad Green. But unsolicited Earl Little means more to me than Norvell. But Norvell coming back the next day and talking about him, talking about the catch he made, the touchdown catch he had, and the fact that he does think he can play early, and the fact that he is good and he's as good as they thought he was when they signed him. That's again, I hate to keep harping on it, but this program has not, for whatever reason, done a good job at all about signing and keeping big-time wide receivers. They just haven't. And I'm talking about out of high school. Keon was big time. He was here for 8 months. Johnny Wilson, nice player, really good player actually for stretches. He didn't sign here. This program has not signed anybody that's lived up to anything in forever at that position, and it's high time they do. And maybe this guy's the guy.
Man, we got a lot of good questions. Everybody rolling in here, appreciate it. Our guy Garrett PCL, part of the Warchant members only variety flavor of the experience on YouTube. Shout out to Garrett. I think he's got some like custom emojis. Drop them if you wish. Are we waving the white flag on Tania Latson? Sucks we lost Latson. I'm sure she'll ball out in the SEC.
I mean, it would be odd to enter the portal and come back. I think you leave it open. That's what a lot of players have done that here in the last week or two when they enter the portal. I just feel like it's inevitable. I don't know what the going rate is. I guess I don't know the going rate for anybody anywhere anymore. But I don't know what the going rate is for like an All-American caliber women's basketball player. But she immediately makes whoever signs her, because you got to feel like, Aslan, whoever signs her is going to be like a South Carolina, a UConn, a Tennessee, an LSU. They immediately vault to the list probably of a national championship contender.
Yes.
That's how good she is. And so that's how much she can mean to a program like that. Yes, I feel lucky. I think Florida State fans, the ones that are actually women's basketball fans, should feel lucky you got her for 3 years in this day and age. It's almost like, you weren't upset when James Tibbs left. You got him for 3 years. It's college baseball. You were lucky to have him for 3 years. Then he went and cashed in. That's what Tania Latson's doing, in my opinion, with this. She's cashing in. She's going to get money. I don't know if it's life-changing money, but it's certainly life-altering money in the short term. It's more than she'd make in the WNBA for a year. And she also gets to go chase a national championship and play in front of big crowds. All of us watching this can understand why that would be appealing to someone. You get to go play at South Carolina in front of 8,000 to 10,000 people for a great coach, and you have a real legitimate chance of reaching the Final Four and winning a national championship. She just played at Florida State, was the leading scorer in the country. They had no shot at a national championship. She put up 30 in a second-round game, and they lost by 30. So, again, and she was the last. They haven't signed anyone after her. Look at their roster. They have, 3 sophomores. So the last 2 years, they've signed 3 players that weren't out of the portal. One is Avery Treadwell, who averaged 2 points a game as a backup center. 2 other ones are from Spain. They didn't build on her gravity or orbit at all. They have not signed anyone in the high school classes. And so you just can understand her with Timpson and Gordon leaving. There's not a lot of – and nobody comes to the games relative to the SEC schools, and you don't have a realistic chance of winning. Go make your money. Go win a championship or try to. You gave Florida State a lot in 3 years. I don't want it to, and I know it doesn't. I don't want it to sound like sour grapes that she's leaving. I think Florida State was very lucky to have her for 3 years. She scored 2,000 points in 3 years.
It's not apples to apples. Maybe it's like stags to does. But the reporting from Pete Nakos that we referenced earlier in the week from last week about on the men's side, one source telling him every starter now for a Power 4 team is making $500,000. So I would set that as that's got to be maybe like the floor for her. Again, like you talk about, maybe not. I
don't disagree, man. Because what I think is normally, I think like if I don't know, man, if a normal Florida State player was in the transfer portal that averaged 14 points a game or something, Gordon, if she had a year of eligibility and she averaged 15 a game, I would think, I don't know, it's not a ton of money, but you're talking about the leading scorer in the country being on the open market in a sport that's relatively popular. It's not Caitlin Clark popular right now, but it's relatively popular. I think you could, I think she could be worth something in the neighborhood of that, or at least the team would be willing to spend that. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Florida State might have been willing to spend that, but that's their whole budget. I think it's South Carolina, and I don't know. I have no inside knowledge. Could be LSU, could be South Carolina, could be UConn, Tennessee, Hawaii, Alaska Fairbanks. I have no idea where she's going to go. Maybe it's back to Florida State. But I understand why it would be so appealing if you're her to be the leading scorer in the country and they're all going to come. They're all going to come. And it could be a real bidding war between teams that actually really do care about women's basketball. And I'm not faulting Florida State for not paying outrageous sums of money for a women's basketball player.
You don't have to spend large sums of money to have a delicious meal and an ice cold beverage at the best bar and grill in Tallahassee, Florida. That would be the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Look at these signature starters: ahi crusted tuna, bacon wrapped shrimp.
The bacon wrapped shrimp is the truth.
There's the those register sausage bites people keep talking about.
Oh yeah. Look at the little emblem too.
Yeah,
big time. There you go, Bill.
Yeah, look at that. And don't forget, obviously, the Corey wrap.
Boom, boom, boom. You should do the sound. You should do the siren thing for that one.
Want to do that? We can do that.
There it is.
CPTallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. I don't think there's any live music this weekend, but there's going to be baseball going on in Notre Dame.
Yep.
There's
That'll be on the TVs. You'll have the actually, Bill sent me the video of Corner Pocket when Lodi's hit the grand slam. It's cool. I can't share it to you because he didn't edit it worth a darn. And it's black and white, but it's cool. Again, that'd be a great selling point for Bill. Like people there cheering and high fiving. If you're a Florida State baseball fan, it would have been cool to be there for that.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, everybody. All right, rolling along, our guy Troy Knoll. He's also another Warchant premium members only member.
How do you know that? Is that the little baseball looking thing on the side? Okay, cool.
I think it looks different. It looks different on our end than what people are seeing on the actual raw YouTube feed, if you will. But he says, what do you feel about the new look Doak? We'll actually have a couple of us for Warchant and all the other outlets too, but we'll be actually taking a tour. I just went tour. We'll be taking a tour of Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday before we get not only Mike Norvell, but also the coordinators on Saturday afternoon. So we'll get an up-close look at it. Listen, I've said it once. I've said it twice. I mean, we only would sell out Doak Campbell maybe once a year. I think I heard from a booster rep, they only sold out season tickets in the preseason once, and that was going into 2014. Coming off a national title, having your reigning Heisman Trophy winner come back.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm all about it being 65,000, but then get that thing actually packed out. And then we'll see how the acoustics play out. But I'm curious to see the sight lines. There is one part of the stadium where there's I can't even really describe it well, but there's apparently maybe a half wall that if you're on the end of a row, you're going to be kind of against it, but it could possibly block people over on the other section. So I do want to see how that's all going to look. But I like I don't like the fact that they're pricing out a lot of people, but I like a smaller, more intimate stadium that's hopefully going to be a lot louder, a lot more often packed.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern about the new stadium is that porch thing. And I'm not alone in that. The rendering is not what's it called?
I think they're called loge boxes. Maybe.
Loge boxes. Oh man, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like them at NFL games. I think they're too NFL-ish. But I'm going to reserve judgment till I see it in action, see what it looks like, because I don't know what it looks like to have right behind your sidelines, people standing near picnic tables and stuff. And I know there's no picnic tables depicted there, but it's just going to be people standing and milling around like they're at a bar or a club, and not really like wild and rambunctious and cheering and everything. And it looks to me that's going to be right behind your bench, which I don't know.
At least it's elevated. I don't think the one at the Mercedes Stadium in Atlanta is elevated. Like you're in Jerry's world too. You're
on the ground. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
You can't see anything except if somebody's scoring a touchdown right in front of you. Yeah. That's the only thing you can see. At least there you can see a little bit. The optics of it, the way it looks, to me doesn't look great. But we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see. In theory, I don't like it at all, but we'll see. I'll reserve judgment and see what it's like in practice. And then also, Aslan, they're getting apparently a new video board with new ribbon boards from the excess money that they saved or something. $20 million, $25 million, something like that.
Yeah, they're really trying to make this stadium more all-purpose. They're really trying to angle for this to become some sort of concept, which, God bless them.
Garth is coming. Taylor's coming. Pearl Jam, Oasis. Next time the Oasis brothers are touring again, I don't have to worry about going to Chicago. They're coming to Doak. They are coming to Doak.
But you see what I'm talking about here? Like this wall?
Yeah. Yep. So could be a little odd.
Block some sidelines. We'll see how it looks, though. Thanks for the question, our guy, Troy Knoll. Matthew Sims, we did talk about Javen Boggs, but overall, are we feeling bullish or bearish about the wide receivers? I'm feeling a little bearish right now, not being very pragmatic, though. I would really like to hear Mike Norvell say that he's so sold and over the moon about how Deuce Robinson looks, but he took a very measured approach, and we'll get there, and we're working on things, and setting the standard and the things he needs to do to look like the things that looks like what a guy that's the best in the country would be performing and executing wise. We need to get closer to that point. I would like to hear that we're already there. Also mentioned that he came here not a finished product. Yeah. That also makes me feel like he's kind of giving himself a little bit of an out in case Deuce doesn't go nuts. But what are your thoughts on the receiver core right now, Corey?
Yeah, so again, to give some context, he was asked about Deuce, or I asked him about Deuce. Like, what has it been like watching him up close through 5 days and not just on, in a tour of duty or on game film? Because he thinks he could be one of the best. I think I said one of the best receivers in the country or conference or something. He goes, well, that's the standard I'm holding him to. And he was saying he's still got work to do to get to where he needs to be. Like, he's not a finished product. It's not like Leonard Hamilton. By no means is Deuce Robinson a finished product. But I didn't take it as that he wasn't happy with what he's seen. I think he really does think that Deuce Robinson could be one of the best receivers in the ACC. And he wants to see that every day in practice, because even though Deuce has done some things at the college level, at the high college level, and done some pretty cool things, he has not proven to be consistently great. He has not proven to be a number one. He has never been a number one. He's supposed to be the number one here, and there's something that comes with that. So, I'm interested in how Malzahn talks about the receivers. Overall, they're going to be better than they were last year. There's absolutely no doubt. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. Does that make me bullish? I don't know, man, because that ain't a high bar to clear, is it? But they're definitely going to be better than they were a year ago.
By the way, Strikeadocious says, "What up, Corey? This is your handsome friend from Corner Pocket."
I see Strikeadocious all the time. Yeah. He's a loyal listener.
Shout out.
I wonder if he's at Corner Pocket right now.
Salute. Our guy Kyle, half joking, half not joking, maybe 110% serious. You guys should have the inside info on Deuce. His dad's on your payroll.
His dad thinks he's really good.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the inside info.
Let's go to our guy, Danny C. Aslan, Corey, I went to the future. Nice.
Okay, nice. Okay.
By the end of the season, Castellanos has 2,500 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, 600 rushing yards, and 8 more scores. What's Florida State's record at the end of the season?
I'd say that's a
9-3.
9-3, yeah, that's a 9-3 record right there. That's that's 3,100 yards total and 28 touchdowns total from your quarterback in 12 games. So you can live with that. That's good stuff. You can live with that. 3,100 yards and 28 touchdowns, only 5 turnovers. We'll give him a fumble. So 6 turnovers total with 28 touchdowns. I don't know how many touchdowns the entire team scored last year, but I'm going to guess it was 7. So you've already quadrupled your touchdown total from a season ago.
I almost want to make sure. Let's see what Jordan did. So Jordan 22. Man, Jordan threw for 3,200 yards in 2022.
Yeah, that counts the 13 or the bowl game, the 13th game, where he threw for like 400. So what was it? Take away 400. What was it?
2,800.
Yeah, so he threw for 2,800 yards before the Oklahoma game. And how many rushing yards?
24 touchdowns, 5 picks, and 7 touchdowns on the ground.
But not 600 rushing yards, right? Probably like 400.
417.
Yeah, so about this exact same number, total yards, and almost the exact same total touchdowns. And you went 10-2 there. Could have been 9-3. Or no, sorry, you went 10-3. You went 9-3 that year. So yeah, I think that you're looking at something like that. That's a good year, man. That's a good year.
Wesley Todd, our guy out there in the villages, yo, Aslan and Corey, or maybe you, Aslan and Corey. It's been a minute. So far through spring, 5 practices. Based on what you've heard from interviews, who has impressed you the most? Who on each side of the ball are you most excited to see?
Well, nobody's impressed us. That implies that we've seen them. I get what you're saying. Yeah, hearing through interviews, who's been the most impressive? Yeah,
James Williams, say it, Corey. Do it.
Yeah,
Own it.
James Williams is a guy for sure. Try not to heap too much expectations on him, but they are very, very, very high on him and what he could be. What about Rawls?
Not buying it.
Okay, great. All right.
I'm very cynical about this secondary. It's crazy to me how everyone's like, we're fine. I like what they can be too. I have no idea what they're going to be, though.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these guys have really been thrust into big starting roles and have at least been available for 12 whole games in their career, whether it's here or elsewhere. I mean, Shaheem is like your stalwart. I do like Shaheem, but like,
yeah, but he's been out all spring. Conrad Hussey, I think, has been out all spring. At least that's what Norvell said before the practices started. So we're not out there. That's not
Edwin
like,
Joseph.
it's not a complaint. Edwin Joseph is hurt, so he's going to miss the rest of the spring. And you might think, oh yeah, well they played a lot of football, especially Shaheem Brown, but not in this defense. This is a different defense, and you would have liked them to get more looks than none. Which, I think Edwin Joseph and Shaheem Brown for sure were going to be starters, I think, in some capacity, or at least contributors. Hussey maybe too, and they're not getting any looks this spring. It doesn't mean, they still get August. They can get acclimated then. They still get their mental reps. But you would like all these new guys, the veterans in a new defense to get their feet wet, man. And that's been a bit of a bummer that I know that wasn't the question, but that's been a bit of a bummer that the secondary has lost some, I think, guys that are going to play. Yeah. Shaheem especially.
I like Tommy's comportment. I think Tommy's very confident, but he's not coming off as arrogant. Seems relaxed and comfortable. Seems to embrace, like, he knows what he has to do. We'll see if he can, fulfill his end of the bargain for an entire season. But I like the way he comported himself in that first interview. Otherwise, I'm trying to think. The Javen Boggs stuff from like Earl Little is probably the best endorsement we've heard, other than maybe the way that Mike talked about Chase Lofton. But I just a true freshman, that position, this offense, and that goes back to what Gus has done over his career too. He's had some good tight ends. CJ Uzma. Like nobody Mackey quality. So I think that's the Boggs is probably the best soundbite that's come from somebody at the podium.
I also think I'm interested. We've never gotten to talk to Gus Malzahn after a scrimmage, or this since practice has started. And Norvell always feels the need because they're his guys. To when he's talking about, we've talked about this before, the Norvellese, he's always going to sprinkle some goodness on all the guys in the position room. He's doing some good things. He's done this. He's done that. I've seen him a few times. He wants to touch on as many guys as possible if he names one. I really want to see how candid Gus Malzahn is on Saturday about what he's seen, because I think that won't that tell us more, I think, than what Norvell has told us so far. I think we could get some really pertinent. You guys know what I'm saying. Info from Gus on Saturday.
All right. Moving along here. Dave from Bardstown wants to clarify something real quick, but he wants to throw $5 at us first.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Don't forget who the OG Tommy on Wake Up Warchant is. Just because he's a starting quarterback doesn't mean Castellanos gets to be the number one Tommy.
Well, there's an OG and a number one, and I think Tommy is the quarterback has probably vaulted. Who's the last good quarterback named Tommy? Is it
Brady?
Frazier? No, he's Tom. Nobody called him Tommy Brady. They did call him Tommy Frazier.
Tommy DeVito.
Okay, yeah. Say no more. You answered it. I asked, you answered. Perfect. Old TD. I wonder, is he still on the Giants now that Jameis is there and Russ is there? They still got DeVito in their plans?
That's a good question. I don't know.
How about Tommy DeVito? He's going to be in the league longer than Rashad Green. That's crazy. Like, was Tommy DeVito ever even a good college quarterback? He had a couple of moments at Syracuse, but he was nothing. Charlie Ward never threw a pass in the NFL. This guy's going to be a 10-year vet.
That was Charlie's choice. It wasn't like he wasn't invited.
But still, it just doesn't seem right.
Shout out to Eddie Booza, voice, dare I say, of the Lady Seminole softball team.
Oh, all right.
He's the guy on the PA.
Yeah, okay.
Says he did some shopping at Garden and Gold today. Go Noles.
There we go.
Nice reminder, everybody. If you join warchant.com right now, $52 entire year. Done, covered, and you get a $20 gift card to Garden and Gold. Incredible. Let's go to our guy, Jamel King, another Warchant YouTube members only level guy. Football's number one, being the most important sport. What would be number two? Hoops or baseball as far as NIL distribution, things like that, Corey?
I think it's basketball. I know people want to roll their eyes at that. I think Luke Laux is getting paid more than Link Jarrett. I think that should tell you where the money matters more. When Florida State is good at basketball, you're putting 11,200 into that arena, as opposed to 60. Just the pure finances of it, the 6,600 that you're putting into Hauser. So just that's. I just think. I think basketball is number two, but when it's right now where basketball is obsolete and hasn't been really relevant in 4 years, and baseball is one of the top programs in the country, it's very close. It's very close. But even even the North Carolina game, it wasn't a great North Carolina team. Florida State isn't good. They still drew more than Florida State drew against Florida. Now look, if they played a 3-game series at home against Florida, that's, whatever that would be, 18,000, 19,000 people all told. So I just think, and I definitely think NIL, it's all about priorities, man. I think right now you're trying to establish hoops. I think, as Aslan just said, when you read these numbers and the speculative numbers about what each of these starters are getting, baseball starters aren't getting 500,000. It's just not a moneymaker. Basketball isn't much of a moneymaker anymore either, but it's certainly, I think, still more of a moneymaker. More eyeballs watch college basketball than watch college baseball. You get $2 million for making the NCAA tournament. You get $2 million more every time you advance, or $4 million, whatever that number is. It's just more money. It's just more money to be good. It's more lucrative to be good at college basketball than it is college baseball. Florida State, with this little pocket and a chance to finally win a national championship, I can see people making the argument that that's number two, or should be number two. But I just think reality says that basketball would still be number two.
It just will be a fun existence once we get there. Which, check out the video with Gene Williams talking about potential exits before 2030. I don't want to have to choose, Corey.
Yeah.
Florida State,
right.
Florida State should not have to choose between good baseball team, good men's basketball team.
Think about Arkansas. What have they ever contributed to college athletics? You know what I mean? Like
Richardson and Frank Broyles.
Yeah, but I'm saying by and
Jimmy
large.
Johnson.
But right, he played there, right? Or was he played there? He's played Oklahoma State.
There.
I thought Jerry Jones played. Yeah, they both did. Jerry Jones did too. But I'm saying by and large, Arkansas is just
Gus Malzahn. Sorry, Corey. Gus Malzahn.
That's right. Who then found one Mike Norvell out of the weeds and pulled him up, and now look, he's working for him. I was being facetious with Arkansas. They've had very good players in a bunch of different sports, great at track, but they haven't not been necessarily a money-making university in those sports. Those revenue sports, they have not been incredible, other than like the Nolan Richardson years in basketball. Well, they've got John Calipari as their basketball coach, a Hall of Famer. I don't know what they're paying him, but I bet he makes more than Luke Laux. And their baseball team is one of the best in the country and has an unbelievable stadium. Wouldn't that be fun? To Aslan's point, Arkansas doesn't have to choose. Yeah. Arkansas's got that Tyson money. They got that. Did they get Walmart money too?
Walmart money. Yeah.
Think about they have Tyson and Walmart, and they haven't won anything of significance since who was on that team? Corliss
Ryan
Williamson.
Mallett, RIP.
I was thinking of basketball when they beat Duke for the national title.
Yeah, Corliss Williamson.
Corliss Williamson, Scotty Thurman, those guys back in '94. Again, Arkansas's fought. They've had some very good football players and some good teams. They haven't won a championship or come close in my lifetime. I don't even know if they've won the SEC in football in my lifetime. No. And they've been pretty good at basketball, great at baseball, with an incredible atmosphere. Yeah. But they get money. It's but yeah, I get it. If you're in another conference, you might not have to choose.
Literally a foul ball away from winning the College World Series.
Is that so? They haven't won it yet either.
Nope.
What a bunch of chokers! Golly, Arkansas, what's it going to take to finally get over the hump?
Quick information dump. John Calipari, 5-year, $38 million contract.
Good night.
Yeah.
7 points. Oh, they play tonight, don't they? Are they playing right now?
No, that's Alabama and BYU.
What's this? You got a score on that?
I do not.
How the Gators looking?
Let me see. And also, do you want to know the number, Corley? Do you want to know the number of touchdowns Florida State scored last year?
12 games. I'm going to guess they scored 30.
19.
No way. They scored 19.
11 passing, 8 on the ground.
They had a kick return too.
Okay.
They might have had so 20. Get it right. Holy cow.
20.
Holy cow.
Real quickly, Florida up 2 at half.
Okay.
And
I see you, Maryland. I see you hanging Terps.
With about 18 minutes ago in the second half, Alabama up 9 on BYU.
Big score?
54-45.
Okay. All right. That's tracking. That's about where the number was. Anyway, not that we're a gambling site. Who cares?
Arkansas, they're closing us down tonight against Texas Tech, Arizona, and Duke.
Yeah, that's right.
Later on. Real quick again on hoops. Quantrell says, hey, Corey, I saw Tanaya Latson hit the portal. Would you sacrifice the third string running backs NIL the keeper? I don't think that'd be enough to keep her. But I also saw that she was high school teammates with Raven Johnson out of the ATL, who plays for South Carolina.
So, well, yeah, and South Carolina's appealing. They're pretty good at that sport, and that fan base cares, and that coach is awesome, and they win a lot. So you could understand why she might. It'd be weird though, like wherever she goes, whether it's LSU or South Carolina or UConn, it ain't gonna be like at Florida State where she can shoot anytime she's gonna be playing with other incredible players.
Yeah.
So she's gonna cut. I wouldn't be surprised if she averaged 10 less points a game wherever she goes next year.
So much to show her what happened to Haley Van Lith when she left Louisville.
That's right. Well, she's better than Haley Van Lith, but that's fair. Well, actually, no. I think she was the Big 12 Player of the Year this year.
Oh, was she? Well, hey.
Yeah.
Didn't work out last year at LSU, though.
That's right. It didn't. That's right. She got embarrassed by Caitlin Clark. No, because number one, Aslan's right. It's more than the third string running back to keep her, I think. And it's just it's kind of the bummer of what the scenario that the situation that Florida State finds itself in. They can't you can't keep one great women's basketball player at the expense of anything on football right now. Football is too, they could be mutually exclusive. They probably should be, but I just don't think they are. And football is way too important to be devoting a ton of money and revenue, quite frankly, to a sport that doesn't make any for you. I assume you lose money with women's basketball when you look at those crowds. I think you're losing money. So just from a cost-effective standpoint, it is absolutely vital that you're good at football the next 2 or 3 years. So it's a bummer, but it's the reality. And I truly wish her well. I hope she comes back. I'm not counting on it. And I truly wish she lands at a good spot where she can go compete and win a national championship.
Garrett recognizes the dangers of hopium, yet posits this. Posits?
Posits. You got it right. That's pertinent.
I know it's a dangerous question, but when can we buy into the James Williams hype?
Third quarter, Alabama. Right?
Tony White. I think if Tony White says something, fall camp, like what, watch out, or like he's ready.
That would be cool if he's like, watch out, Crimson Tide. Y'all ain't never seen anything like this. Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think, I mean, they're going to be, maybe not Terrence Knighton, but I think all the other coaches are going to be pretty cautious with their praise for him because he's not like Deuce Robinson. He's never had to be the guy. And so you want to see how they handle that first. But yeah, I would say man, Jared Verse made it kind of apparent against LSU in the Dome. We told you he was pretty good. We told you he looked like the part, and then he made it apparent by the second half against LSU. I would say you could, if he does some pretty special things against Alabama, that's when you can buy in. Other than that, it's just hype.
I was thinking about it. When we were at the luncheon in 2022, we spoke to a coach and we asked him about like Jared Verse. And, he wasn't ready to say that he was going to like take the torch away from Jermaine Johnson like instantly. But he was like, just, if you guys like in the media, just let the kid breathe a little bit, I think he's going to end up being something really good here. I mean, Verse hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So, maybe we shouldn't even, maybe that's even to say, even if we get tepid things on the record about James Williams heading into the game week against Alabama, maybe even that could not be accurate. Maybe a guy can go out there and maybe do something even the coach wasn't expecting in year one. Certainly would hope so.
Does it kind of look like I have fire coming out of my head?
With where you're at the logo?
Yeah, I got to do that.
Do it again.
How about that? Like a sun god. I'm like a sun god, everyone.
Henry Lyles, hear me out. If giant if,
yeah.
If Mike Norvell goes 13-0 this year, how does the narrative change about him as a coach and last season overall?
I mean, he becomes like M. Night Shyamalan. Like great movie, horrible movie, pretty good movie, incredible, awful. Like nobody does this. So it would change it. It would look more and more like 24 was the anomaly, but then you wouldn't trust 2025. You wouldn't trust 2026 because the last time that guy went 13-0, he had the worst team we'd ever seen the next year. So the narrative will change when he puts back-to-back good seasons together again. It does it relatively quickly, hopefully before they bow out of this conference. But yes, it would change. I think, yes, it would definitely change. 2 13-0 seasons in a 3-year span. You're starting to talk about, even with a 2-10, crazily, you're talking about one of the premier coaches in the country. But that is a giant if, and I'm going to go ahead and say this and spoil it. I don't think that's going to happen this year.
Yeah. Brett Taylor bringing facts to a fun time. I've always been confused about this. How can both be true? One, it's spring practice. It's very important. Number two, if a guy gets injured, it's no big deal if he's healthy in August.
Fair. I think I pushed back on that a little bit talking about the DBs though. Like I think that is a big deal that they're missing, especially because it's a new defense and it's a new offense. Like anybody missing this spring, even if they're a veteran, I think it is a big deal. I know Norvell I think when Norvell says it's not a big deal, he's talking about the injury itself, not the fact that they're missing time. Because it is important. It's better to miss March than August, but still, I understand the question. I understand the sentiment of it. And yeah, this spring practice is very important because it's essentially 15 extra practices for Alabama. I know they're not installing Alabama. They're not missing. They're probably even looking at Alabama all that much right now. But what do you get in the August, Aslan? 20 practices?
Yeah. Wow.
So you're getting 35 practices with 2 whole new coaching staffs on each side of the ball in preparation for the biggest game of the season. So that's what makes it important. Next year's spring practice probably won't be as important because you're used to the guys and you're used to the system and the schemes.
Shout out to my guy, Kavan Tala. Aslan, Eid Mubarak. Happy Nowruz. It is the new year in the old country, everybody. Shout out. So happy new year to everybody out there. The way we do it back in the old country, Corey, we base the calendar on the first day of spring is the first day of the year.
Okay.
Which I'm a little bit biased. I think that's a really good idea. Like, why have the first day of the new year be like a really cold day, on the calendar, like January 1st would be?
So y'all had no worries for Y2K.
None. You were good.
You're like, that's in April. Or that's in late March. We're fine.
Yeah. Any rumblings of freshmen who are making waves in spring practice so far? So we have what, Boggs and Lofton. Andre Otto's not a true freshman, but he's still kind of a freshman.
Yeah.
And he's been doing something. So those are the only three names that jump to mind when we talk about freshmen, whether they're true or they got the red shirt tag on them.
Yeah.
Anybody else
And I wonder about Sperry. I wonder about him.
Yeah.
Norvell's talked him up a couple of times, made sure to mention him, but he does that a lot. He did that with Duffy too, so take all that with a grain of salt. But I do think, you hear some things that maybe he's got a chance. And again, wouldn't that be something? Actually, a quarterback you went out and recruited and signed and developed turning into something, because it has been a minute around these parts for that to happen. Who was it? Francois? Who was the last guy that was signed at Florida State that had a good year at quarterback?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
DeAndre Francois. Yeah.
Yeah. Good grief. Sorry. Oh, Ray.
Bang! Let's go! What is up, Ray Pereira?
Boom. Sun God time.
Our guy's in Biloxi now. He's no longer in the H.
I didn't know
H-Town.
that. I didn't know he's in Biloxi. I was just in Biloxi like a month ago, Ray. Yeah. We should have hooked up. We could have gone to the high rollers table. You could have spotted me a few.
Ray Pereira with $100 in the jar. Ray, you're the man. Appreciate the heck out of you. He says, Omar Graham, breakout year, ?
So Norvell did talk about him, said that on Tuesday, he talked about him today, and then said on Tuesday that he had this best practice he's had since he's been here, which is good because, again, he's felt 5 practices into a new system. And maybe they're just systems that work with better play. Players have better fits in different systems. Maybe he'll take to this better. I think he's had moments where he's been a pretty decent college linebacker. It's just not consistent. He can't stay on the field. He's been banged up. When he's been out there, so it's a lot of hit and miss. But, that's part of the learning stages and the growing stages. And I hope and think that maybe he has a chance to be something. There's a chance it could be a breakout year. We should point out, what's the kid's name from North Carolina?
Caleb LaValle.
Caleb LaValle, Norvell said, is out for the rest of the spring.
Yeah.
He was a guy that I think they were counting on to make some waves at that position. Not necessarily play. I definitely think they liked his athleticism and the fit he might be in that defense. And now he's out. And then
Daniel Lyons,
but there was somebody else too. But I can't. Again, they out for the spring, but should be back by the fall. It was who was the other one? I can't remember.
Jacob Rizzi.
There you go, Aslan. Well done, Jacob Rizzi, backup offensive lineman from Harvard, right?
Yes,
from Harvard. Yes,
Harvard. You could have read that if you would have clicked on the
Duckworth.
story on the front page of warchant.com. Don't even need to be a member for that, everybody. But again, a reminder, all the good stuff is in the Corey's updates, full summary, tribal council, be a member, subscribe. Shout out to our guy, Ray Pereira.
Ray, you're the man, buddy. I'm going to be in Biloxi at some point in the next couple months. I'm going to look you up. We're going to do some things.
Norvell talks about competition. He wants to see guys, desperate out there fighting to win football games, competing, pushing each other.
James B.
Let's go. James B with $300 American in the jar. What?
Jim the house. All right, James B.
Unbelievable performance out of James B, our guy. He's also Warchant.com member. We need to do something like the Triple Crown of horse racing. If you're a Warchant.com member, like gold member on Warchant.com, and you're also the
YouTube
members only YouTube.
Members only YouTube. Yeah, that is the Triple Crown. You should get T-shirts made.
Yeah. And about, I think he's bound in society too. I don't want to look in his pockets, but I think he's also, but anyhow, neither here nor there. He just says he was really looking forward to the live show, but he got busy, did not get an alert from YouTube. Sorry, guys.
It's all right, James B. You came correct.
You're the man, James B. Says, have we talked about the injury? So today we heard about LaValle, Lyons, and Rizzi that goes on top of Edwin Joseph. And then we heard
Shaheem Brown, Conrad Hussey.
Was there somebody else he told us on day one? Or was it just those two, Hussey and
he also said Roydell had been banged up, but had come back and looked good today. Roydell Williams, the running back. I know that doesn't fire up a lot of y'all, but yeah, he had a touchdown. I think he had a touchdown, a good touchdown run, is how Norvell described it in red zone or goal line or whatever. So Roydell's back. It was funny. James B sent me a text a couple weeks ago, I think. When he clicked on the Luke Lauk story about asking for money, like he not asking for money, but how important NIL is going to be for Florida State. One of the ads was for selling your own blood. It's like, well, he's like, is this a sign? I'm like, hey, it's a good idea. Get all the students to sell their own blood.
Well, Jason Jenkins.
Yeah, Jenkins too. Jenkins is at least out for the spring.
Yeah.
If not, much longer.
Yeah. Oh boy, this is a long one. James people keep saying.
James B, you're the best, man. Thank you very much, buddy.
Aloha to Ray. Absolutely. Aloha to our guy Ralph as
Yeah.
well, by the way. Man, I am so checked out on and I get it, man. Conference realignment is the biggest existential threat to Florida State athletics, and I'm not trying to downplay it at all. It is very important. I can't do this year, that year, this year. But anyhow, Trailer Swift, good name. People keep saying the next big realignment window is going to be 2030 because the Big Ten renegotiates with its media partners. Would it not behoove all involved to look earlier to perhaps increase the size of the pie so the amount of slices isn't an issue? Big assets just got put on the board. When do they want to move now?
I mean, I definitely don't think now, but I think in the next couple of years, as Gene was alluding to, and I think there's obviously some real validity to it, it would make sense for this very reason. Like, why wait Sankey didn't wait until Oklahoma and Texas became available to pursue them. Yeah. He went snuck in the back door in the middle of the night like he was, moving the Colts. Like, he just did it in
Art Modell.
Yeah, well, that was the Browns.
Jim Irsay?
Was it Irsay that moved?
Bob Irsay.
Yeah. Was it Modell the Browns, right? Yeah. Stephanie hates Art Modell. That's why. Yeah. So it was the
Modell moved the Colts out of Baltimore to Indianapolis.
In those Mayflower trucks in the middle of the night. So it would certainly make sense, and it would go along with the way all of this has been done for the last 2 decades, decade and a half anyway, since this became a real thing in college athletics. So yes, it would behoove them. It would make sense. Will they do it? I don't know. Do you get Indiana to sign off on it, adding 2 more teams or 3 or 4 more teams? I don't know. But I can tell you, Fox and ESPN both don't want to be bidding against each other. They don't want to be driving up a bidding war if they can go do it quietly and covertly a year or 2 beforehand. Like Florida State buying TMH. Nobody even knew that was coming. Apparently there's no truth to that, or the FSU balked at that notion. Who knows?
Our guy Jeremy down in South Florida asked us this. I meant to pop it up earlier, but he got lost in the shuffle of all the great questions and all the doll hairs. James B follows up with, and I know we're both the models of fitness, everything, but how much does strength and conditioning correlate to injuries in your opinion? Because Jeremy was also saying, why is Storms getting a break with all these injuries kind of, seemingly piling up? And I don't know if this is one of these things where, again, we're so close to it. I haven't checked Alabama media availability to see what they're dealing with in Tuscaloosa, but and we don't know the extent of these. We don't know if these are like bone, are they soft tissue injuries, but I mean, I know one of the guys that's well thought of in that strength community when it comes to mobility stuff, Vernon Griffith. He was actually like at Florida State late last year or so. So he's a guy that came here, hung out with the staff, and they broke bread and shared ideas. So I can't imagine Storms is doing anything that's egregiously neglectful to put these guys in this situation. I just think really Florida State has not had very terrible bad injury luck other than Jordan Travis.
Yeah, that wasn't a conditioning. That wasn't a conditioning thing. It was that hip tackle.
Yeah, that I don't know. I think it's just
it's probably coincidental, right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to know like what like a different stretch that avoids like an ankle injury or a hamstring injury or something. I mean, not to you need to stretch, gang. That's a message to everyone listening and watching. Stretch your body out, get loose, get limber.
Yes.
Don't just go in and start running as fast as you can. Come on, guys. But they do stretch. These aren't guys that don't know what they're doing that are leading them in getting loose, getting stretch, the proper nutrition and everything that goes with a college football program. I get it. You want to blame someone, but Aslan's right. I don't think it's been horrible injury luck. And none of these other than one, I don't even know if that's true, seem to be like season threatening. They're just spring threatening. But I just think that's the natural order of things with a football practice. You have 100 guys out there, give or take 85, 90. Every day you're going to lose a couple. Not for a long time, but you just are. There's 22 bodies on a field running full speed, very big, very fast, very physical, falling on each other occasionally, and you're going to have some bad injury luck, or you're just going to have some injuries. But again, that's not to say that they don't deserve blame necessarily. I'm not smart enough to know what they would be doing wrong. That makes sense? That makes sense.
Yeah.
We almost done?
We are done. I was about to
that's right. Matt Lasser, great point. They're being physical.
Yeah.
That's why, hey, when you're physical, things happen. But they're being physical.
And you got to be physical when you're on the job site. Shout out to our folks over at Brunt who have developed the best-selling Marin boot.
That's the one I got. That one that's floating around up top, spinning around. That's the one I got. It's great. You saw it. Oh, no, you didn't. I didn't wear it, but you should have seen it because it's awesome.
Yeah. Built for the toughest job sites. They're completely waterproof. Rain, mud, standing water. Your feet stay dry. Not only durably built, but also super comfortable. Go to bruntworkwear.com. Use the promo code WAKEUP and you get $10 off of your order. It's incredible. They'll also let you try it out for a while. So if you decide you're like, I don't want it, it's not for me, you can always send it back because that's how confident they are in their product. Bruntworkwear.com. Again, the promo code WAKEUP. All right, practice on Saturday. There's actually a scrimmage going down Saturday,
scrimmage
Corey.
on Saturday. Situational scrimmage. But, that's Saturday. So, but you better be on Warchant Saturday afternoon. Yeah. We'll have a stadium tour thing. And then we'll also, more importantly, probably to most of you, we'll be able to talk to Malzahn and Tony White about what they saw in the scrimmage and what they've seen through the first 6 practices.
You're darn right. I've got the pillar still, Ray Pereira. Your name is still on it. Thanks to Ray Pereira. Thanks to James B., T. Giddy, Thomas Giddings, Dave in Bardstown, Eddie Booza, and everybody for posting their questions. We sure appreciate it. Don't forget, spring sale, $52, a whole year of warchant.com, premium access, and a $20 gift card to Garnet and Gold. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Jeff Cameron show on Friday. Everything else over at warchant.com. Thanks for joining also as well. Matt Lasser giving us information. Goodbye, everybody. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. That'd be really, really nice of you.